Poisoned milk, a pressing iron, hired killers, a snow-covered trail straight back to the murder scene. This isn't fiction, it's one of Tudor England's most sensational true crimes. Welcome to the very first episode of Tudor True Crime, where I, historian and author Claire Ridgway, dig into the darkest corners of 16th century life. And today's case, the murder of Thomas Arden, a respectable Faversham businessman, brutally killed by his own wife and her lover in 1551. It's a tale that shocked the nation, inspired an Elizabethan play, and left a trail of bodies, betrayal, and bloodshed in its wake. So grab a cuppa, or perhaps you might need something stronger, and let's step back in time to 1551, in the reign of King Edward VI, where one Tudor housewife had murder on her mind. This chilling case was so well known in its day that it became the subject of a play first printed in 1592 by London printer Edward White. The play, Arden of Faversham, or in full, The Lamentable and True Tragedy of Master Arden of Faversham in Kent, is often described as one of the earliest domestic tragedies in English drama. It's even been attributed, though debatedly, to literary giants like William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe and Thomas Kyd. There was also a later broadside ballad, proof that the tale captured the imagination of the public for generations. The main source for the play appears to have been Raphael Holinshed's Chronicles, first published in 1577. In it, Holinshed gives an account of the real-life murder of Thomas Arden, a Faversham businessman and one-time mayor of Faversham, on the 15th of February 1551, by none other than his wife Alice and her lover, a tailor named Mosby, sometimes recorded as Moresby or Mosby. According to Holinshed, Arden's wife Alice had fallen in love with Mosby, who Holinshed describes as a tailor by occupation, a black swart man servant to Lord North, and that within 2 years Mosby was frequently using her body. He was visiting Alice at her home and sleeping with her. Arden seemed to be aware of the goings-on, but didn't want to offend his wife, and according to Holinshed, lose the benefit he hoped to gain through some of her friends. So he put up with it, even inviting Mosby to stay in their house. But Alice was in love with Mosby and she hated her husband. So she set about plotting to, and I quote, hasten his death. She sought the advice of a local painter with knowledge of poisons, but she forgot his instructions about pouring the milk over the poison in the porringer and instead put the milk in first. Arden complained about the taste and suffered extreme purging as he rode to and from Canterbury, but he survived. Alice wasn't giving up easily. She became friends with a man named Green, who held a grudge against Arden, having argued with him over a piece of land. Alice and Green plotted together, and Alice said that she would pay £10 to anyone willing to kill her husband. Soon after, Green met a ruffian on the road to Gravesend, a man known as Black Will, who was inclined to violence. Black Will agreed that if he could find Arden in St. Paul's churchyard, then he would kill him. Arden once again avoided death, and in fact several times. Black Will could not murder him at the churchyard or on the road, for Arden was always accompanied by friends or servants. Then, according to Holinshed, at the Valentine's Fair at Faversham, Alice met with Mosby and begged him to help her get rid of her husband. Mosby was hesitant, but finally agreed. He invited Arden to play tables, a game similar to backgammon, in the parlour, while Alice got rid of the servants. In the parlour, Black Will crept out of his hiding place, threw a towel over the unsuspecting Arden's head and tried to strangle him with it. Mosby then picked up a pressing iron of 14 pounds weight and struck Arden on the head. Arden fell and Blackwell and Moseby dragged him to the counting house, where Blackwell then slashed his face and Alice stabbed him in the chest 7 or 8 times to make sure that he was dead. Blackwell then stole Arden's money and rings, and then he, Moseby and Alice set about cleaning the parlour and hiding the evidence of their dastardly deed. They then resumed their evening as if nothing had happened, feasting, playing music and dancing, all the while keeping the servants away. Later, they carried Arden's body to a local field near the churchyard, leaving him in the snow. Then Alice was tasked with playing the panicked wife and reporting her husband missing. It wasn't long before the Mayor of Faversham and his officers found Arden's body, following footprints in the snow from the body back to the Arden house, where they then found a knife and a bloodied cloth hidden by the well. Under questioning, Alice, Moseby, Blackwell and a servant of the Ardens called Michael, who seems to have also been involved, confessed to the crime and incriminated others involved in the murder plot. Following a trial at Faversham, they were all condemned. The servant Michael was hanged in chains. One of Alice's maids was burnt at the stake. Moseby and his sister were hanged at Smithfield. Alice Arden was burnt at Canterbury on the 14th of March. Green was arrested and hanged a few years later. And Blackwell was burnt at the stake in Flushing. He'd managed to flee to the Low Countries, but justice caught up with him there. Holinshed ends his account with an eerie detail, saying that Thomas Arden had been cursed by a local widow he'd seized land from, so perhaps his death was down to her vengeance. Not only that, the patch of ground where Arden's corpse Not only that, the patch of ground where his corpse had lain in the snow left a bald patch in the grass that was visible for years. Spooky. The story of Thomas Arden's murder is more than a gruesome tale. It's a vivid glimpse into the raw human emotions that played out behind Tudor respectability. Jealousy, betrayal, ambition, and cold-blooded murder. It inspired early theatre, popular literature, and even songs, and yet it was rooted in very real people and a very real crime. And of course, people still murder for love today. Thank you so much for watching the first in my Tudor True Crime series. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next gripping case. And I'd love to know, have you heard of the Arden murder or perhaps read the play? See you next time and please do take care.